All right, today we're going to jump into a piece that didn't just break the rules, it threw the whole rulebook out. We're talking about a work of art with a title that's so unique, so powerful, it tells you right from the jump that you're about to experience something completely new. For colored girls who have considered suicide / when the rainbow is enough. Just take a second and look at that. No capital letters. That / in the middle. The unique spelling of enough. Every single part of this title is deliberate. It's basically a sign that says, hey, what you're about to see, it's not a normal play. It's something else. And that really brings us to the central question, doesn't it? To really get what this is all about, you have to ask, what in the world is a choreopoem? And the answer to that question, well, that's where things get truly revolutionary. See, to understand the impact of For Colored Girls, you've got to understand the form its creator, Ntozake Shange, invented for it. She didn't just write a play, she literally created an entirely new way to put stories on a stage. Shange herself called it a choreopoem. She took about 20 of her poems and wove them into what she called a single statement. So think about that. This isn't your typical story with a beginning, middle, and end. It's about combining poetry with movement, that's the choreo part, and music, all to get at the real, unfiltered experience of being a Black woman in a way that a standard play just couldn't. Now, something this groundbreaking doesn't just pop up out of thin air, right? It was born in a very specific time and place, the San Francisco Bay Area in the early 1970s. And that place was just buzzing with artistic and political energy. It was kind of a perfect storm of influences for Shange. Just imagine it. You've got these incredible women's poetry groups giving voice to brand new perspectives. At the exact same time, she's studying dance, which she said helped her find her own voice as a poet. And then, on top of all that, she's working in women's studies, connecting her to this whole lineage of female artists. It's like all these streams of energy just flowed together and created that very first performance in a women's bar back in '74. And you can just feel the urgency of that moment in her own words. This wasn't just art for the sake of art. It was a mission. It was about using performance to figure out their own lives, to connect with the women who came before them, and to finally define themselves on their own terms. Okay, so we know what a choreopoem is, and we know where it came from, but how does it actually work on stage? Well, it's all built around 7 women who don't have any names. They're just identified by the color of their dress, like a living rainbow. Now, here's what's so cool about this. The lady in brown or the lady in blue, they're not supposed to be individual, separate characters. Think of them more like different shades of one single experience. They'll drift in and out of each other's poems, they'll finish each other's sentences, all to create this beautiful, complex tapestry of what it means to be a Black woman. And through these different voices, man, the emotional range is just incredible. One minute, you get this story from the lady in yellow. It's pure, unfiltered joy about graduation night, dancing with cousins, and that first taste of freedom in the back of a Buick. And then, bam, the tone can just flip on a dime. The choreopoem is fearless. It goes right into the darkest corners of life. With just this one gut punch of a line, the lady in blue brings us into the painful, complicated world of sexual assault when it's committed by someone you know. And if you want to see just how raw this work is, look at this. This is a page from an early script. You can actually see Shange's own handwritten notes in the margins. Things like violence/rape and isolation. These weren't just ideas to her. They were real, painful territories she was determined to map out. So in a world that holds so much joy and so much pain, how do you get through it? Well, this line right here, it gets to the absolute heart of the whole piece. Dance, music, art, they're not just hobbies. They are survival tools. They're how you process the hard stuff and hold on to what makes you alive. So how on earth does an experimental, deeply personal piece like this make the unbelievable leap from small bars all the way to Broadway, the biggest stage in American theater? I mean, this was a real, honest-to-goodness grassroots journey. It started in women's bars in California, where the show would literally change depending on the vibe of the audience that night. Then, Shange and her collaborator Paula Moss got in a car and drove across the country to New York. They started performing it in these gritty bars on the Lower East Side for no money for 11 weeks straight. But people started talking. The right people saw it. And eventually it got picked up and made that incredible jump to Broadway in 1976. The whole journey is just wild to think about. I mean, look at this. You go from this, a deeply personal script covered in handwritten notes and changes, to this, a landmark Broadway show getting rave reviews. It's a success story that almost nobody could have seen coming. Okay, so it was a huge hit. But why are we still talking about it all these years later? What gives it that staying power? Well, right from the very beginning, the critics just got it. They saw that it wasn't just about hardship. The New York Daily News called it joyous and alive, recognizing that it was this powerful statement of strength, even when staring right into despair. They also understood that its mission was to tell the whole story, not just the easy parts. This review nails it by calling it an unforgettable collage that wasn't afraid to show every single facet of life. But maybe the most important thing they realized was that, at its core, the power of this piece comes from the words themselves. I love how Q Magazine put it. This is the kind of poetry that you feel in your body. It's not something you just listen to, you experience it. It gives you chills, it makes you tremble. Look, here's the bottom line. Before this choreopoem, you just did not see the full, complex, joyful, and painful stories of Black women front and center on the American stage. It just wasn't happening. By inventing a whole new form to tell those stories, Ntozake Shange didn't just create a masterpiece. She blew the doors wide open for everyone who came after her. And I think we should end with Shange's own words, written right as her work was becoming a phenomenon in 1976. It's such a powerful reminder that for a real artist, the work is never finished. While the world was finally catching up and listening to this poem, she was already moving forward, on the other side of the rainbow, with other work to do.